Many weeks ago now, Battlefront Updates did a great video on how the future of Star Wars gaming is currently missing big AAA multiplayer games in its roster. Obviously we know about Star Wars Hunters being multiplayer only, and it will likely get content for a number of years, which I'm incredibly excited to focus on, but at this moment in time that's mobile and Switch only, so there's nothing currently on the way for other major consoles and PC that is a big multiplayer focused live service game. Elliot's thoughts about this got me thinking about what's to come with these 8 games that we currently know about, so today I wanted to focus on Respawn's first person shooter game, one of 3 Star Wars games that they're currently working on. What I want to focus on today is, will this first person shooter have multiplayer or not? With it being Respawn, I sincerely hope that it does, given their brilliance with the Titanfall series and Apex Legends. At this moment in time, it's not known whether it will have multiplayer though, but we do know it will have a story at the very least, and that's because the game's director, Peter Hirschman, has said that this game is a story that he's always wanted to tell. I'll have a video go out soon as well as to what I think this story could entail and who it might be about, but let's focus now on the multiplayer side of things. Personally, I think the game could and should have multiplayer. To what extent though? Well, that's where things can get interesting. Obviously I'd love to have multiple modes with tons of players like Battlefront 2, but given that it's only Respawn working on it at the moment, I think that would be highly unrealistic to have a story and a large scale multiplayer, given that they have so many games in the works. What I think they could do though is take a page out of Motive's book with what they did for Star Wars Squadrons. For those who don't know, Star Wars Squadrons had a 14 mission long campaign with a couple of multiplayer modes, tons of customization and ranked play as part of the multiplayer. That was honestly enough for launch, and had the game been given a year or 2 of content updates, then it would have been even bigger and better. The 2 content updates it did get though proved to many that the game deserved to get even more updates, and it could have been something even more special. My hope though is that given that this is a first person shooter and they're so tried and tested within the industry, EA will be a lot more willing to give this game content support for quite some time, if of course it has multiplayer. Even if the game had 1 or 2 really great modes across a number of maps, that would genuinely be a good start to the game's life, that could then be expanded upon massively if they had an extra year or 2 for content support. EA also doesn't have a multiplayer Star Wars game at the moment, and given how big the franchise is, if they monetize the game well enough, then I'm sure they'd be able to make huge amounts of money across the span of its life. Obviously Squadrons and the Battlefront games are still around, but they haven't been getting new content for a while now, so I think EA should really try to capitalise on the Star Wars market without being predatory like the start of Battlefront 2. Like I've said before, microtransactions are not the problem, it's how they are implemented which can be the problem, so that's always something to bear in mind for EA if they do make more multiplayer Star Wars games. Given that Peter was also an executive producer on the original Battlefront games, I'd find his return to the Star Wars first person shooter scene a little bit odd if there wasn't some kind of multiplayer mode, or even just instant action. Yes, okay, he's worked on many other games in his time, but I really do think that Respawn has such a big opportunity here with this game to incorporate at least 1 or 2 multiplayer modes across 5 to 6 maps for launch and then expand it post-launch. Even that would make me happy right now given the massive drought of Star Wars multiplayer games and content, but sadly I don't think we'll hear from Respawn about this FPS game for a while, but when we do I'll be sure to keep you all up to date. But that is it from me today guys, thank you all very much for watching and may the force be with you always.